Hey, Twitch and YouTube, because this is going on YouTube later. What is up? Or what's up? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, how do you do, Dr. Dino? Whatever time zone it is for you, welcome. Welcome to another lovely Monday. Today, oh, have I got a recipe for you? I've really got something special. Hey, Toe. See everyone trickling in now, isn't that nice? Get the family to gather around for yet another data stream, and we are back to SQL stuff. So we had the last few streams, we had done a little bit of an excursion. Last week was a tough week. We did some gaming on Friday. The claws support their own. That is very true. That's very true. And that is awesome. Great to have you guys here. Last few streams we went off on some tangents. SQL, something I actually know well, kind of. Well, Toe, we are going to find out how good you know SQL. This should be very interesting. Let's empty our recycle bin. That's going to make a huge noise. There we go. Well, if you haven't already been able to tell by the title, I've been cooking up something in my little data kitchen. And I would love to make this whole stream food themed. Wow. So, Toe, thank you for the follow. I can't believe you weren't following yet. Shame on you. But it had to happen at some point. So I would like to make this whole stream today food themed as much as possible. So feel free to go nuts with the puns. Go crazy. I'm curious to see. I was apparently following the wrong account. So the other Maddie Two Shoes without the underscore suddenly has a lot more followers than they planned. Yeah, so I think we can go ahead and get started. I mean, we're not waiting for anyone, right? I don't think so. Is anyone supposed to be here that isn't here yet? We can get started. They can catch up. So what are we doing? What are we doing? We're doing this. Oh, that was... Okay, wait. That wasn't a very good transition. Let's try that again. There we go. Fancy transitions. I think that says it all. This is what we're doing today. We are looking at an empty window of DataGrip. And that was not a custom stinger. I borrowed it from somewhere. But yeah, I have this open twice. But basically, you guys can see this is a little folder that has a CSV in it. Borrowed. I mean, it's open source. They were free. So, you know, power to me. So there's a little CSV file here. I mean, little, it's 700 megs. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to deal with here. I downloaded something from the internet, which I highly advise you to check stuff before you download stuff from the internet. But yeah, this file is like not opening in preview. It's a bit rough. Yeah, it doesn't even want to show me it. We're gonna just straight up import it, because that's what we do. First, we're gonna create a new schema in Postgres. I'm going to show you... Oops, that wasn't the right thing. I'm going to show you what I got, rather than tell you it's much cooler to show you. Like show and tell, it's cool, right? How many of you had show and tell back in primary school? I guess it was. So we're gonna call this food, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be doing more with food. Oh dear, localhost problem. You know what that is? We haven't started Docker. So we're gonna get Docker up and running. Come on, buddy. Come on. So if you're not familiar with Docker, I can just bring that over here and show you a little bit more about that. Docker is a software for running containers on your computer. Kind of similar to the principle of virtual machines. They can be configured, you can do a lot of stuff within them. The nice thing about Docker is there are a lot of recipes available. That's another pun. Someone should be counting. There are a lot of recipes available for things like, okay, I want to use Postgres. Then you can just download the image from the Docker repository and you can fire up Postgres and that's it. You don't have to do any installation, which is very nice. So I tend to run everything in Docker to not kind of weigh down my computer. I mean, obviously the bytes don't weigh something significant. In case someone was wondering how much a byte weighs, what you can do is you can make a text file with all ones and zeros randomly. Make sure the file is like 25,000 characters basically, and then print it and then put it in your hand and then see how much that weighs. And that's roughly 1 byte, just for reference. And so basically, Docker is a nice little nifty way of not kind of installing stuff directly on your machine, but just installing everything when it needs to run. So kind of in memory, which is the downside of Docker is that, well, yeah, it needs a lot of resources. So things can get a little bit memory heavy sometimes. The disk image in particular can be a problem because you can allocate as much memory as you want, but sooner or later you will reach the point where you try to import a file with like 12 million records, and because of the way that import works, it will try to do that in memory and eventually it will fail. So the hard limit on this setup for me was something like 14 million rows of data that I was trying to import. But that's a small digression. Docker is now running, so we should be able to actually create our schema and start this delicious data stuff. Oh, did I just make another pun? I said delicious. I hope someone is counting the food puns, because that would actually be a kind of cool thing to have. A food pun counter. So we have this food, and now I want to import something. I want to import, well, we're just gonna have to go through, give me 1 second. I don't want to show you my whole entire Google Drive structure, do we? Where is it? It's here. There we go. So I have this recipes.csv. And if any of you recognize the pixelation screen, you may recognize it. It's been borrowed from someone else. This is what I got. Show and tell time. I got a fairly large, and I will show you after how large, fairly large recipe database. And guess what I want to do with this? So some of you may not know, but I'm quite a food aficionado. And I love playing with food. Cooking different things and trying new things out. And one of those things is, yeah, trying new recipes. And I went as far as to actually build my own little tiny recipe site because I got tired of trying to find a recipe within the entire screen of ads. Hold on 1 second, this is bothering me now. Just gonna close this or mute it. How about that? So I actually, I went ahead and just did a sort of weekend sprint of my recipe site, which I could show one day on stream as well if anyone's interested. But Dinos, didn't your mother ever tell you playing with your food is bad? Depends. I mean, I enjoy kind of, you know, splattering it on the plate. I think she meant that as well. I also think she meant like, you know, throwing it around and things like that. I believe I did throw cake once. I'll have to ask her about that. But you could do the food pun counter, Dino. If you're not busy with anything else, that would be great. Anywho, so yeah, recipe search is really hard because you can only search the internet for recipes using search engines, because every single website has a different implementation of how they have implemented recipes. Some of them use really good markdown. Some of them use this micro HTML recipe standard. Some of them use some arbitrary ingredients listing, custom blogs, all that kind of stuff. And the thing is, scraping all that, that's a project in itself, right? That's like a 10-year project to scrape the entire web for all the recipes you can find and clean them up. And you know what? Someone's done that. I'm not kidding you. This recipe data set is absolutely massive. So what we're going to do is we're going to import it, and basically my intention is to query the crap out of this data set to find really cool recipes that I would love to try out for me and my partner, because she loves eating my food. So that is the objective today. And I have some constraints, of course, because, you know, cook time, for example, if I need like 3 hours to prepare lunch, people at the office, people in my team are probably going to be pretty angry with me because I'm not answering their messages because I'm cooking something for 3 hours over lunch. So I do have some restrictions, which we will build in. So I think we'll just do the import. I just want to check here. We've got a recipe ID, which is an integer. We have a name, which is in text, an author ID, which is an integer. I don't think we can link it to anything else, but you know, we have the author name, which could be interesting if we find a lot of recipes by one author. Maybe we could go look them up directly or something like that. Then we have cook times and prep times and total times, which honestly, I don't really understand how this has been. PT? I think it's like a prefix. 24 hour? Okay, we're gonna have to look into that a little bit more about those values. In anywho, there's a date when the recipe was published. There's a description. The recipes are kind of from all over the place. I believe they're generally from food.com or something like that. I got the dataset from Kaggle. If you'd like it, I'm happy to link you to it. I think I can find it again. And then there's, if anyone was in a stream 2 weeks ago, there's arrays here, which is a lot like the JSON problem that we had of splitting out stuff from JSON, but arrays is a lot easier. But these parts, we're just going to keep them as text for the moment. Then there's some ratings, all the stuff that we don't want to have, like calories and fat and stuff like that. Maybe I should not import those to begin with because I don't want to see them. But, you know, I'm a purist. I can't modify the file. That's really bad. And then there's all these instructions. And actually each step has been filtered out, comma separated, and quotes. So really nice formatting. They've really done a nice job here. So we can go ahead and import. And does anyone want to guess how long they think this will take? I'm gonna say, without knowing how big the file is, of course, it's a bit tricky. I would hazard a guess and say 14 seconds. Let's see what happens. Here we go, here we go. It's running. Oh, I think this is gonna take longer than 14 seconds. But everyone has a chance to tell me about their day so far, or how their day was. If it's also evening for you, let me know in chat. How are things for everyone? My Monday was a little bit chaotic today. I had to run around to a few different appointments, but I managed to get work done in between, so that was good. And of course, I'm happy to be streaming again this evening. I guess everyone's day has been fantastic because no one wrote in chat. They're all having such a great time that they haven't had time to write in chat. That makes sense. It's a lot longer than 14 seconds. I apologize for misleading you. The data set has around 535,000 recipes. I did find one that was even larger. Someone went and scraped like pretty much the entire of Reddit, like r/cooking or whatever. But the thing is that everything was also, like, it could have also been a post about something else, food related. And I wanted to have a data set that's actually really just recipes and nothing else, to not have to go through the whole process of cleansing and all that kind of stuff. So once this is done, the first thing we're going to do is run all the data consistency checks. If you've been on my stream before, you know that I'm obsessed with data quality. Even if we're just doing something, what do you call it? Like, even if we're just doing something as amateur as this, like find me a cool recipe to cook based on this data set using SQL, I still want it to be, qualitatively speaking, high. So that's why we do these data consistency checks. Okay, so there were no errors. Oh wow, there were 253,000 errors. Ooh, okay, let's take a look. Conversion failed. I knew we shouldn't have done the rating as numeric. That was a big no-no. So we're gonna have to start again, because I don't want to start figuring out which ones were important and which ones were not. So we will import data from file again, and this time we will do something different. Aggregated rating. Instead of numeric, we will just put text. And then it shouldn't be an issue anymore. And then it should also be a lot faster, actually, because it won't run into those issues. It is a little bit faster. It's hovering around the sort of 4.4 megabyte per second. So it's a 700 megabyte file, 721. So divided by 4.4, it's about 163 seconds. So yeah, it's about 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes to import, which honestly is kind of cool when you consider that you can just work with this kind of amount of data locally, this wasn't possible maybe even, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. I guess machines were powerful enough. It would have taken you a while to import though, I think. But these days, I mean, with your crazy hyper-threading and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I have 8 physical cores, but they're hyper-threaded on the MacBook Pro. This is a 2019 model, the 16-inch. So they're technically 2 virtual cores, so 16 virtual cores. Which is super cool. And you can get really milk a lot of performance. Oh, milk, that's another one. Dino, are you keeping count? You can milk a lot of performance out of these laptops nowadays. And so I really like working with data locally because it, you know, doesn't cost anything apart from power, which you're using anyway. I mean, as my laptop's running my stream, it doesn't really make a difference at this point. And, you know, if you were going to work in the cloud, like, you know, on BigQuery or whatever, yeah, you might not have costs immediately. Like, you might be able to operate in sort of the free tier, or you might have credit or something like that. But sooner or later, you will run into costs. And I mean, here, the thing for me is I can store all of this stuff in a database. And when I don't use it, I can just shut it down and it stays dormant in a way on my machine. So that's what I really enjoy about that. I don't know if anyone else here has worked with Docker before, but I think that's one of the strongest arguments for me, is that it allows you to work with local files before implementing everything into production, basically. So I'm hoping that there aren't any errors this time, because then we don't need to do this yet again. And the stream can start to get more exciting, because we can start to cook up something delicious. Oh, why? Oh, please tell me it's not something else. Oh, okay. So all the counts are a problem because I didn't account for the fact that a lot of them have NA values. That's super, super annoying, but this is the reality of working with data, people. Like, this is what it's like, everyone. Like, if anyone tells you that it's different, it's not. They're lying to you. 80% of your time will be spent cleaning up and formatting data. And in my case, I'm just doing some cleansing stuff before it even gets into database. So all of these are going to be an issue because some of these will be NA. So we're actually going to switch all of these to text. I can always convert them later in query. It isn't as efficient because you're doing another conversion, but we're not so concerned with efficiency here. Normally we would be, of course. You know, I would try and cleanse the data set, but I don't have the patience for that today. And I don't think anyone really wants to see that on stream. So we will give this a minute and I will hydrate again, and someone else can tell me about their day. If someone is watching, of course. Chat's very quiet today, so you never know who's watching. I've also been experimenting with a little soundboard for adding sound effects when things go particularly well or particularly badly. Could be quite fun. I have to think a little bit more about how to integrate it into my meetings at work, because I think that could be very amusing as well. It's one advantage of having a streaming setup is that you can use it for work. And people always are pretty impressed with your microphone quality and, you know, your webcam quality. And then you've got other people who are just like, I don't know, outside, can hear like buses and cars and everything roaring past them. And I'm somehow envious of them too, because they somehow just don't care at this point. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to invest in my setup. You know, I don't stream and this is just for work. So I don't feel like spending money on it. And I respect that. I can definitely understand that. But I like to work in comfort. So I was making these investments even before deciding to stream anyway. So I don't know about you, chat, but I'm hoping that we don't have to import this again, because I'm looking forward to starting to try and figure out what I'm going to be cooking next week, or maybe even this week. I haven't planned out everything. Do you meal plan? Does anyone in chat, like if we're talking about food related stuff, does anyone meal plan? Like, do you write out stuff that you're gonna cook during the week? Do you do like a big shop at the beginning of the week, and then, you know, have like a couple of set days where you're like, okay, I'm gonna eat I don't know, shepherd's pie on this day, I'm gonna make udon noodles on this day? Does anyone else do that? I tend to do that. I tend to sort of have a plan of like 3-4 meals that I want to make during the week, and I buy explicitly for those, and then during the week I can be a little bit spontaneous. Wow, there were still errors. Why? Review count int 4? So what happened here? Let's find out what happened. Review count. So did it just not import them? Yeah, there's only half the data set here. Oh, breaking my back today. Data grip. We will do this one last time. And the way that we will ensure that we don't have any problems. I see, that was an int. The way that we're going to ensure that we don't have any issues is by converting everything to text, which I don't recommend doing normally, but in order to make sure we don't do this again, this is going to be the final import. So we're just going to convert all of these things to text, and if I need them later as numeric, I will just convert them in query. So if I want to get like the average protein content of the recipes that I've picked, although I'm not looking at like becoming an absolute unit, so not such an issue. I'm also going to convert the recipe ID and the author ID. I don't know if they're going to cause problems. They probably won't, but I'm going to make sure that everything is text, because then there's no constraints on how it imports. Oh dear, 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 dear. Someone tell me that we're not doing this import again. I really hope. And how is audio levels today? Did a little bit of tweaking on my end. Is music and voice well balanced? How do you feel about that? I'm not the type of person to like yell into my microphone, so. I'm also hoping it's not peaking or anything like that. I don't have a pop filter. I don't think it's necessarily necessary. Wait, does pop count as a food pun? Because pop is like the American term for soda. I suppose that would count. So we're at like 7 now. I hope Dino is counting. I'm really relying on Dino doing the food pun counter, because otherwise, you know, I don't have anyone else to do it. So it would be great if you're doing that, Dr. Dynamite. And if you're not, then I'll have to go back through the stream VOD and count them myself afterwards. It's just what you do, right? Make sure that you're able to publish that kind of information post-stream. I think that's what the people really want, to be honest. And another thing I wanted to use this this board for, or like this iPad app that I got to do all the quick buttons, was to also be able to write things in chat rapidly, as in have preset messages for things like, oh, here's my link to my YouTube channel where you can find all the VODs of my previous streams where I upload them, and things like that. So I think it can be very useful. At the moment, I've just put really funny sounds into it. Bruh. With the hope that I'll be able to use them at some point. I really hope that the import is not facing any issue. I don't see how it could now, because we really put every column to text, and text has no constraints by default, so shouldn't be any issue with that. So let's see, should be just a matter of hours. Now we need that SpongeBob theme with, you know, 2 hours later. And actually what we could do in the meantime is make sure that this is running. I'm gonna have Metabase running. Metabase is a little open source BI tool. I mean, little, it's pretty professional. The cool thing about Metabase is also, okay, there were 108 errors this time. So wrong value separators. So we're just gonna have to accept that these 108 recipes are not in there. That's fine. So let's get started. So with Metabase, I'm looking forward to also visualizing what kind of stuff we figure out. I have a few questions about the data set, but we will get to that in a moment. Let me just write down the first important thing, which is 522408. This is the number of recipes that are in this data set. And as I told you, it's a lot. Like, that's a lot of recipes. I don't know, 500,000 recipes. I counted the last 3 months. I've cooked something like, so 3 months, 90 days, right? I've cooked something like 38 or 40 recipes. So that's about almost one every 2 days.
I'm afraid to borrow.
I'm not afraid to borrow. Okay. But it's pretty impressive when you consider that 500,000. I mean, there's going to be a lot in here that we don't like. Let's be honest. But it's going to be really interesting to see what the spread of recipes is like. So that was the first thing, is like types. Like, can we start filtering, like, I don't know, vegan, vegetarian, meat dishes, chicken, steak, etc. So that would be one of the first things. The other thing is like cooking times and complication. Like, that's a key thing for me, is I don't want to spend 3 hours on a lunch recipe. So that's one of the things. And then of course, preferences. So for example, I won't eat beetroot or what other stuff, like squash, pumpkin. I don't like those things, so they're gonna get just excluded. And of course my partner, she's gonna be very angry about that because she loves those things. So she's definitely gonna be like, why didn't you include the recipe with the beetroot salad? I'll be, well, because I don't like beetroot, so I'm not making it. But first, you know that we need to do some basic assessment stuff. So we have all these different fields. About Metabase, sorry. Let me just bring this up for you. Let me just bring this up. I need a browser window for this. So Metabase is this BI tool that allows you to connect directly to your database. And you see here, it won't have the food schema yet. So I need to go to admin and refresh the data, which is very easy to do. You just think and rescan. That's it. And then you can exit admin like this, go back to your database, and there should be interesting. Is there no food schema? It's a bit odd. Let's try that again. Oh, maybe I needed to save or something. So we'll save that. Maybe it needs a little bit to re-index or something. That's odd. Okay, so we'll just browse data, Postgres. That's odd. Normally it should show up here. But I don't know, if we go to like one of our data sets, like the tiger. What was this? Oh, that's a secret thing. You don't have to know about that yet. If we do the Netflix stuff, right? We can have like our table and we can directly visualize it, which is going to be really cool because obviously we're going to do some visualizations of our of what we've been figuring out with the recipes. We'd like to sort of figure out different types or something like that. So that is going to be really cool. But for the moment, we will just do SQL stuff. Oh, you can also write SQL in Metabase, just to be clear. You can actually write SQL here directly. So you can do, you can do your whole statement here as well. You select the database, like Postgres. Select star from, what do we call it? Food dot. It's weird that it doesn't find it, but, recipes. Limit. This is a bit small, I know, but that's why I'm describing it. And you see here, you have all this information. And you can visualize this directly, but that doesn't make a lot of sense yet, because it's basically raw data. So, what are the checks we need to do? We need to check the columns that we are going to use for consistency. So we have this list of columns here. We can already decide which columns are important for us. And do let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet or something, because each track is a little bit different. So what I want to do is we have all of these rows. So we have 500, this is like actually rows and not number of recipes. I would like to find out if the recipe ID is unique, because I will be using that to run some aggregates afterwards. So the first test is, food. I'm just gonna call this R, because I don't think we're gonna be joining it to anything today. So if you came here looking to learn more about join today, I'm sorry. You might not learn so much about joins. We will do a lot of self joins, but that's because we're gonna write some common table expressions later, probably. Yeah, first thing we want to do, recipe ID. What we're going to do is we're going to do count star, and this is basically just counting each recipe ID in there, and group by 1 and order by 2 descending. And this tells me if a certain recipe ID appears more than once. So you can see here, they're all 1. And because I said order to descending, it would have put the ones that appeared more than once, so 2 or 3 or 4, it would have put them at the top. But it didn't, which is good. So we know that this is actually now 522,408 recipes. So that's great. What's the next thing we should check? I would like to know if there are any nulls in the name. The reason I want to know that is because I'm going to use the name to do some basic text searches. I might use the ingredients or something later as well, but we want to do some basic null checks. So null checks are basically like this. Case when name is not null, then filled. Else null, which we don't need to write, and name check. Now, the reason that I am writing this like this and not just taking the value, like here, instead of just writing filled, I could say, well, if it's not null, take the value of name. You'll just end up with the same count. You'll have each name appear, I don't know how many times, like once normally, and if two recipes are named the same, then twice. And you won't be able to actually see the distribution of null values. But here you're overwriting all of them with filled, and the nulls appear as null. And then you count both of them, and you end up with the following. See, all of them are filled. And you can actually just do like this, and just keep changing. Sorry, call check, for example. You can just rename this to call check, and you can just keep changing out this field. And you can do a lot of different null checks this way at the same time. So for example, cook time. Filled in every case, okay? But we know that there's a problem with that one. This is just checking for null. This isn't checking what the values are like. So we should explore the data set a little bit. And we can see the cook time here. We can already see an extract of what the values look like. And the cook time and the prep time and the total time are going to be important for us, right? We've already established that they are going to be constraints of some kind. So it is worth looking into those a little bit more. I'm not concerned about author, so that's why I've gone over that. And to recap, so these are like consistency checks. These are the checks that I'm doing to make sure that everything is complete, that I have the understanding of the data set before I work with it. And I go from left to right or top to bottom, depending what view you're looking at. That just makes it easier to follow where I am. So we've looked at the recipe ID, we looked at the name. I don't care about the author stuff. What about these times? Well, they all start with PT, which I assume is some kind of prefix in case it takes more than one day. It's actually a bit weird why there's a PT in front. Has anyone ever seen that before? I've never seen a duration indicator with PT in front of it. Basically, I can see that some of them are 1 hour 15, so we're going to want to split this out. So this one, for example, Coconut Haystacks 2, which is obviously the second version of this recipe, has an NA value for cook time. So this query that we ran will not work for cook time. And I assume that each of the other ones, like prep time, might also have that as a problem. And total time might have that too. That total time might be NA or it might be PT0 or something like that. So we can do a couple checks for that. And the easiest way to do that is to basically say, okay, case when cook time is null, is not null, then filled. But because the NA condition meets this criteria, because NA is not null, we're going to add an additional criteria above this one. So case when cook time equals NA, then NA, because we want this one to be output as NA. If it's filled, so if it's not null, it'll be output as filled. And otherwise it will be null. So we don't need to write else null, that's a default condition. And now it should be interesting to see. You see, we have 82,000 NA recipes. We can go further in terms of cook time. We can go further before we do the filled check. We can say when cook time like 0s or 0s, then no duration. I think it was 0s. I did see somewhere 36M, 1H, 15M. So we can try and look for this 0s. There may be some values. Maybe a capital S. Like is case sensitive, by the way. So we're gonna do like that. Okay. No. So it doesn't seem like there's any of them that have a 0 duration. Maybe we should do 0 minutes. There we go. But this could be this could actually be accounting for this could be accounting for any number of minutes here, like 10 minutes, because they end in 0. Yeah, that's not a really good consistency check. We'd probably have to split this out. Uh-oh. Holy moly. Thanks for the prior warning, Dynamite. What is happening? Sociable Steve, raiding with a party of 12. Welcome, raiders. Yeah, feel free to make as many food puns as you want, because we are currently cooking up some stuff in SQL. We are looking through a recipe dataset of 522,000 recipes to try and find things that I want to try cooking. Seems a very elaborate exercise, but trust me, like, I have very specific criteria, and I don't want to look through hundreds of thousands of websites with ads on them. And rather than just get an ad blocker, I still have to like screen all the content, and all the recipe sites are in completely different formats. I hope I cook something up tasty. Yeah, cooking stream would actually be pretty dope, but I'm really not set up for that. So the moment I've just been trying to figure out if the cook time is reliable, because I'm going to be using that as one of my constraints, and I realize that we're going to have to separate it out because it has this PT prefix. Here, prep time, PT0S. So let's change this to prep time. Please talk about it. Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. That's a very good one, Dino. Looking forward to other people's delicious puns here. So prep time. Why is it auto completing with recipes here? That's really annoying. So if it's like 0s, hello, Algebra 97. So we have apparently, oh wait, we have to go like 0s, like this. So there are recipes without any duration values, the NAs. So I think it would make sense to just cut the NAs, because the total time seems to be pretty consistent. We can definitely check also total time. Why didn't I do this before? I can actually multi-line edit. Should have done that before. Stop oh man, there we go. I know they are corny, but I'm only loafing about. Oh, Dino. What would we do without you? What would we do without you? I mean, it is... Hello, White Panther. I trust that all of you will be bringing the puns Just need to have a bit of time to get inspired. Time Thyme. Definitely. Rosemary and thyme. So total time 0s doesn't seem to be the case. We can actually go even more specific and say pt 0s, which is good. So there's not any recipes that don't take any time at all, literally. That's disappointing. There's actually 2,000 recipes with no duration. But there are no NAs in total time. So that's good to know. Loving this new zoomed in code affair. Well, I mean, I can make it bigger. It's not big enough for you, you know? I can zoom even more. It's actually pretty accessible. You just hold down command and mouse wheel. So I quite like that. I'm glad that you like it, Panther. My job in here is basically to please the claw, so if that has been achieved, I am happy. Do we have enough information to continue? I think that we do. The claw is pleased. That's fantastic. So we've gone through these. We ignored author because we're not so concerned about author. I don't really care when it was published. Like, do I care how old the recipe is? I don't think so. The description is very interesting. Not. We will definitely skip over description and images because it's totally not interesting. This is where it gets interesting. The recipe category. Let's find out what we have here. So we can just do a distinct recipe category and we'll see what we get. So there's 312 rows, which obviously, well, there's pretty much, did I just see Canadian? There's an entire category of Canadian, which I'm super happy about that. We definitely have to look at these 415 recipes. Gumbo, pasta shells. There's an entire category for pasta shells. Bath and beauty? Okay, there's some pretty interesting categories here. So I was curious about categories and I actually wasn't sure what we can do. Yes, bath and beauty. We now have to, we have to know, right? Okay, let's do this. Honestly, I need to know. Where was it? Bath beauty. Let's find out, chat. Oh wow, really? Yes, Lush do bath bombs that are they smell so good you could eat them. That's right. And oh my gosh, these are recipes for exfoliate with strawberries! Triple exclamation mark. So we might have to exclude some of the categories because I don't think I'm gonna make a black cherry bath salts recipe for lunch. That would be a bit odd, to say the least. But this is pretty cool. I love this username, Vegemite. Oh wow, that is so punny. I love it. So okay, we're definitely gonna have to exclude some of these categories because this one will be very appropriate for large groups. That is basically, I only want to make recipes in this category for lunch because I eat like a large group. There's an entire category for gelatin, which I suppose is relevant. How now, scrub yourself with strawberry and macerate them on some scones afterwards, wins all around. I don't know how to feel about that. But yeah, the top categories are kind of what we expected. I do like these because there's already been some recipes categorized in under 60 and under 30 minutes. So those are primary lunch candidates. I'm sure that there's a lunch and slash snacks category. I like how they've just taken the liberty of saying lunch and snacks are basically the same. that really prevents me from having to decide, should I eat lunch or should I have a snack? Because I can obviously do both. Vegetable. However, each recipe is only in one category, which does restrict us to some extent. We should get rid of this. Which does restrict us, but we have keywords. So this one, for example, is this real data from a real place? It is 100% real data from 100% real place, White Panther. I got this data set from Kaggle. It was scraped from food.com, I believe, almost entirely. And it's 522,408 recipes that I successfully imported. 108 of them had errors, and we just said screw it, we don't want them, we don't care. So this is 100% real, and this is where it's going to get more exciting with the keywords and the recipe ingredient quantities and things like that. The quantities are only going to be for the actual execution. When I start to parse these recipes and figure out how to auto format them so I can put them in my recipe site that I built. But that's a later stage kind of thing. That's probably like 3 streams down the road from now. What I want to do is figure out how to split off these keywords, because that will give us more granular search, because that's what we're doing with SQL, is basically searching, right? So we're going to search through all the recipes by using a combination of categories and keywords. So recipe category and recipe keywords are going to be super important. Oh, it's just called keywords. See, look, if we just take distinct keywords, right, this is not going to do anything for us, because it's just going to be gibberish. Oh well, and this query is going to take a while. You see, some of them don't have it. A lot of them have easy. A lot of them have just one with 60 minutes. But the ones with the prefix C have at least 2. And that's kind of important, because we're going to have to split these out into rows, I guess, or separate columns. Something like that. Something fancy. If you were on my stream a few weeks ago, we did some Netflix data stuff. It was our own Netflix behavioral data. We found out some shocking watching habits, actually. Like my partner watches twice as much Netflix as I do. But we had to deal with JSON formatted data. And if you were thinking of naming your child Jason, someone has beat you to the punch, most certainly, by just naming their child Jason without the A. And so that was good practice in working with kind of arrayed data to begin with. But yeah, JSON or arrays in SQL is a bit of a challenge, because obviously in this kind of data set, we have basically a one-to-one relationship for entity, so a recipe, and a row. So one row is one recipe. And as soon as we split one of these out, if we split it into columns, that's fine. You know, tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, tag 4, etc. We can do that, but we might run into issues depending on how many tags there are. I mean, if we go all the way down here into sort of the long tail, we can definitely sort it by length, I guess, but that might not tell us the number of items. But there might be some in here with like 15 tags or something, I don't know. So you'd have 15 columns in your database, which is maybe not what you want. On the other hand, you know, it is an easy way to also split them into rows, but then you lose this one-to-one relationship in the data set. And you have to be prepared for that, because then you will have a recipe appear multiple times. So this I don't know, this potato soup recipe, you'll have multiple rows of all the same values here, except for the ones that you've split out. So the keyword, for example. So you'll have one column, but you'll have multiple rows. And that can mess up your aggregations if you're trying to figure out, for example, the average calories, which, by the way, we didn't get to the end here. So there's ratings, which I don't care about. There's calories, fat content, saturated fat, cholesterol content, sodium content, carbohydrates, fiber, sugar, protein, and all of these things I literally want to ignore. Please don't judge me. I would like to ignore them because I don't choose my recipes based on some data, which, now that I'm saying that, sounds really, really hypocritical because I do so many things data driven. But I pick my recipes based on overall balance in my, I guess, diet, or whatever you want to call it, lifestyle. So we're just going to ignore all of those. And moving on, we have recipe servings and yield, which is always a bit weird because if they write 16 servings, 12 to 16 muffins, they're assuming everyone's only eating one muffin. And please, someone in chat, tell me that you are able to eat one muffin, and I will tell you that you're lying. I really do not believe anyone on this planet is capable of eating a single muffin. So, like here, 36 cookies, 36 servings. No way! That's just not realistic. So we're going to use the servings as the indicator and not the yield. But, you know, that's just for scaling the recipe later. We could definitely check out, in terms of the servings, what the distribution is. So a lot of recipes don't have a number of servings. Most of them, I may say most, like a fifth, are 4 servings. And then there's a sizable amount of recipes that are 4 and 8. There's a couple single and double recipes in there, which is nice. Yeah, this is nice. So if you're still here, I look forward to hearing you write in chat about what is your favorite food. Because I would like to incorporate a sort of community recipe. Like, see if we can find one recipe that meets everyone's criteria from chat. That would be pretty awesome. If like everyone put in their favorite food, and maybe we could find a recipe that meets all of those conditions. Dal, all right. Setting the bar high. I'd love to see dal with like strawberries, but yeah, okay, we'll give it a try. Curious to see what everyone else has to say about this. Maybe people have fallen asleep. I don't know. Maybe it's just so relaxing. Maybe I should change the music, because it is very chill. Very, very chill. But I'm quite liking it. So I'm going to keep it for now. So we're going to make this community recipe. It's incredibly relaxing. Wonderful. So we've got dal as one element of our community recipe. I'll just keep that there, and as people contribute, we can add it. The instructions will be important at a later stage when I want to split them out to actually put them into this recipe site that I have, which I will show on stream at some point as well about how I built it. It's actually built on Jekyll, which is a pretty interesting framework. Not being a developer, that was kind of secondary for me. Like, I found a very nice template of a site, of a guy who built a site, and he happened to have used Jekyll, which is something I wasn't familiar with, and so I spent a little bit of time getting to know it. And I managed to basically fork his repository from GitHub and build my own version. and I will share it with you soon. Soon. Once I have a few more recipes on there, which hopefully today will help do that. And I don't think we'll finish today, to be honest with you, because 500,000 recipes is a lot of recipes. But we can probably exclude the bath ones, yeah. Although my partner would probably love to have those. So that could be a cool thing for her, because she's not going to get her favorite stuff in here, because her favorite foods are the ones I can't stand. Like pumpkin and squash and beetroot and coffee as well. We gotta exclude coffee. Fun fact, I've never had a coffee in my life. So yeah, that's getting excluded. So I'm happy with the kind of basic checks we've been doing. The one thing I would like to do now is, that is a fun fact. It's actually quite rare from what I understand. Most people are really obsessed. I mean, obsessed? No, not obsessed. Most people really... Beetroot dal. Oh, Jay Walter. Should I put you down for beetroot? Is that what you would like? Please don't. Please don't. Oh, this would be really... Dal is awesome. Like, that's not an issue. The beetroot dal, that's another question. But you know, Jay Walter, what is actually your favorite food? Is your favorite food actually beetroot dal? I don't think so. You can suggest something else. It would be very cool. So the first thing I want to do is basically the recipe category is fine. We will get to the point of exclusion later, but I would like to split out the keywords. So for that, we have to do some tests to see what works. So we'll just do select recipe ID and then keywords. And then we just do, I don't know, like this, limit 1. Potatoes are underappreciated. Oh, this is nice. Okay, potatoes. I'm happy with potatoes. Specific type of potato, like just potatoes in general, or like something like a sweet potato or a yam. Although, are yams potatoes? Questions on questions on questions. Potatoes in dal actually doesn't sound too bad yet. It really doesn't. So, okay, this track is irking me, sorry. We're skipping that one. We have an example. What I would like to do is actually figure out a little bit more. If we keep doing this, we'll always get this one, because that's the way the data set is ordered. So the way to split this out would be, we could do a basic split part first. Cooked and slightly fried. That's very nice, actually. Like oven roasting them is also good. You like oven roast with some nice spices and some olive oil. Just keep them in the oven on high heat for 20 minutes or so. So we got split part. We will keywords. So that's string text, delimiter text, field integer. This would only give us one of the things. So if we say we wanted to split this by comma, and then give us the first part, so this would be keyword 1. Roasted potatoes and barbecue. Okay, so we're gonna put barbecue in here, because I think that's, because this is already looking pretty awesome. Dal, potatoes, barbecue, that's pretty amazing. So this is the problem with splitting based on something like a comma, is that we'd have to take out this C cheese part, and just to show you the difference here. So it starts with C and then it has this bracket, and then that's to denote basically the array. So if we were to do this, we would have to do this for every single keyword separately, which well, we could do that. there's nothing stopping us, but I mean, it would look like this, right? And we can trim the C and the bracket and stuff beforehand, and this would work. But I don't know, this doesn't seem very efficient to me, because if something has 15 keywords, we have 15 queries. I mean, 15 lines, right? So there should be a nicer way with array length, I believe. And that's keywords. Let me just check the help text on array. Any array integer returns integer. Okay. I think we need to convert this to an array first, though, because it's not an array yet. So we actually have to do, I think it's like this we convert. Function array length does not exist. So let's do text to array. Oh, look at that, I've searched for this before. It's not the first time we're dealing with this. Yeah, that's declaring it, but if I already have it, it's not a real array because we don't have curly brackets. So maybe we can just figure out Postgres split values, commas. Comma separated values with all rows. Reroutes. This looks promising. Comma separated values. Ooh, unnest. String to array. Ah. And then regf split to table, which would give you, that is really, really convenient. That's basically what I wanted to do. Okay, we could try that. So this will give us the split out. We could try regf split to table. I quite like that one. So we want to split regx split to table. Orders, so keywords and comma, and we'll call this as keywords. Split. Oh, we have to increase the limit because otherwise we won't see all the values, but we can just rejig this to see only one recipe by selecting the ID in the query. Oh, it's text because we converted everything beforehand. There we go. So this is what's happened. This is what I was explaining before. The alternative was having separate rows for each of the keywords. And I think this is a nicer option because it means that we don't need to query separate columns when we're doing our searching afterwards to make sure that we meet the conditions of our barbecue potato dal, which will be very interesting. I'm not sure how we're going to search for that yet, but we will do our best. We will do our best. Give me 10 seconds, please. Sorry, bad coughing fit there. So this works very nicely. I think this is the one we're going to use. And it's good that we found a nice solution, but this is not clean. We have to clean up this C bracket part. And we can remove the quotes later. That's not such a big issue. How do we clean up the bracket? Well, we can basically if we do left keywords and then 2. Oh, that's taking from the left. What was it again? Was it B trim? Hello, given to meow. I would like to figure out. I always forget. Ignore first characters. I always forget the right. Is it right? Ah, it would be right, yeah. So if I do right, keywords 2. Ah, this is really. Everyone waving to each other. Look at that. Got ourselves a little party here. I would like to know stuff. What is this? Postgres trim first characters. Ah, it's L trim. It's not left, it's L trim. I always forget. Is it still procrastination if the thing you are supposed to do is sleep? Yes. Chat, what do you think? I think it is procrastination because the definition of procrastination is putting off something that you were supposed to do. Text integer does not exist. What? Yes. You delegate that. Would love to see you delegate sleep to someone. But I want an L trim with number of characters. Ah, come on. It's trim leading. Yes. Trim leading to from keywords. Can we delegate our sleep to you, given to meow? I mean, what's the going rate? Shower and sleep. Ooh, that's gonna be steep. Trim leading spaces. I don't want to trim spaces. L trim. Trim leading character from string. Ah. Okay. This is nice. So we can trim the C. That's a long shower. Pro bono. I'm glad that you're coming to an agreement. That's really cool. It's very nice. So we're gonna B trim then this thing. So B trim is both sides. Leading and trailing. The bracket. Oh wait, I could just do trim. Or no, there's an easier way to do this. We do regex replace. Exactly. So this is combining several things into one, which is my favorite thing to do. Regex replace, what are we replacing? We're replacing either this or that, but we have to match them literally in regex. If you're not familiar with regular expressions, I highly advise you to get into them. They are super fun. Steffi, or Steffi if you want the Swiss version. 128, thank you very much for the follow. Very appreciated. That didn't work. Well, well, well. What is well, 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 White Panther? Oh yeah, maybe the volume on that notification is a bit high. Sorry about that. But follows are important. Maybe I'll leave them that high for now. I want to match both brackets. Yeah, I know. There we go. So I've removed that one. Now we need to remove the other one. Ich liebe Deutschland. I don't have a lot of chat rules. I know some people insist on only writing in English or something. But for now, I think I'll allow it. I'm lenient. So what I'm doing, thank you, Given to Meow, for translating. I don't have an auto translator in here either. Are the regex replace some custom SPs? What's SP? What I'm doing is removing this. There's probably a more efficient way to do it, but I've just been lazy. Basically, stored procs. Oh. No, they're just functions that Postgres provides, and regex split to table. I wish it would capitalize them because that irks me. Basically, what we're doing is, I mean, yeah, they're definitely functions. And what we're doing is we're passing the values through the function. So I was actually going to just explain this briefly. The first thing is I'm getting the C out of the keyword. Regex replace, I believe, also is part of standard SQL, but it could be Postgres specific. Don't quote me on that one. But I think standard SQL also supports it. I know that Microsoft SQL Server has some issues with the regex stuff, but I think vanilla SQL should have it. And basically what I'm doing here is because the keywords value, so let's see the original here. The original value is messy for whatever reason. They've chosen to format it this way. It's too messy for me. I need to split off. I'm not interested in the C brackets. So what I'm doing is I'm trimming the C. I could also have used regex replace, but it was easy to just trim it. And then I used regex replace for the bracket and regex replace for the other bracket. And it's just a bit confusing to read because of the way the conditions stack here with commas. But trust me on this one. And basically, this is where the whole common table expression thing comes in. So if you're not familiar with SQL, so much, if you've written a little bit of SQL, then there is a functionality of SQL called common table expression, which basically allows you to write a query and then save it and then continue with another query, and allows you kind of build multi-threaded or very complicated queries, which is amazeballs. And we are going to call this, and basically what you do is you alias each of them. You give the whole query itself an alias. So if we call this keyword formatting, so we do that with as, that gives us the alias. And then we can just continue further here by referencing the alias instead of our original data set. There's a few different ways to do it. You can get more complicated by having multiple aliases referencing other aliases and then self-joining back onto the original table and all kinds of stuff. we've done everything on stream. We have been everywhere. But here, this is not so complicated. Basically, what I need from here is the keyword split based on this entire string. And I could do this in one. It makes it a bit complicated, but it's definitely possible. Basically, instead of the keyword's original, we just take this entire statement and smack it into here. And now, now we have this keyword split like this. And we need to trim the white spaces. So we'll do B trim across this entire thing. There we go. Given to Meow, thanks for explaining this. I've done stuff like this over the years, but never really fully understood it. You're welcome. That's why I'm streaming. So I'm just gonna open up this because it is way too complicated to read. And I like doing this. I don't advise doing it this way, but I like opening them up so that you can read each subsection, which is a little bit confusing in this case. But yeah, that's basically, this rainbow thing really helps me place these. Oh, I wonder what the auto formatter would do with this. Let's find out. Here we go. Oh wow, yeah. Okay. It's pretty much illegible. I think you'll agree with me on that, chap. But we shall leave it the way it is, because it's pretty. And that's the most important thing. Wow! Oh, hi Flicker, thanks for the follow. Very appreciated. This is pretty illegible. But look, if we fold it, no one has to know. Perfect. Basically what I need is just the recipe ID and the keyword split out like this. But using the with makes it so clean. That's right. Because no one needs to know what we did in these other little aliases. I came in with Steve but was in a work meeting. Oh, what time zone are you on? I really hope you're not working at 10:30 p.m. Unless you work alternative hours. I suppose that's also possible. If you work with the US or something, or with Asia. And I hope your meeting went well. Nice of you to lurk until now. EST, yeah, okay. So just finishing up your day then. So where have we gotten so far? We have managed to split out the keywords per recipe. So we've just done this for one recipe as an example. Obviously we want this for every single recipe. And if we do that, we can do something like that. Now you can see like this recipe has 3 rows. This one only has 1. This one only has 2. Now we can figure out how many tags each recipe has, because we can count the number of rows. Basically was told we will be working hard in a month. Okay, so you have a month to slack off before you need to work hard. Sounds cool to me. And we can take out the ones that have NA tags because they don't tell us anything. Just found my new SQL BFF. Who? I'm glad that you did. So where, if we want to use a where condition on this massive keyword split thing, we can't yet because it doesn't know this field yet, because it's been aliased here. So the one option would be to write this entire thing out in the where again. Or this is what common table expressions are really for. You just do it here. Like this. Where keyword split is not NA. And now we have to double check. We should actually remove the quotes afterwards. So we should have... Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful tags. We are going to be making a deal with a vendor, and we will be doubling, even tripling our requests. So this should be fun. Also, I am learning SQL, so this is a great place for Steve to raid. Oh, I'm your new BFF for SQL. That's so cool. We should make a custom SQL BFF emoji. Or emote, as they're called on Twitch. That would be pretty awesome. I have zero talent when it comes to graphic design, just to let you know. So when we do hit affiliate, I'm going to have to outsource the creation of my emotes. Probably to my partner, because she's a lot more gifted with graphic design tools than I am. So we've eliminated all these NAs. What's happening to this song? Did it reach the end of the station? Okay. That's what's left to get on affiliate? Average viewers, actually. Everything else is up there. Just the average viewers that need to be up there. I think it's at 2.7 something at the moment. So this stream, looking at the numbers, might do the trick. If we do enough hours today, the claw has got you covered. Most appreciated. Most appreciated. I vow my life for the claw. And I will announce the appropriate actions when I do hit affiliate, but I have 2 specific things planned for that. Other than a massive party at my house with just myself. And you're all invited virtually, of course. So we have all of these tags split out. I would like to remove the quotes. I probably should have done this before. Seeing as this thing is so messy, let's just do it in here. Why not? He's going for it, people. He's going for another regex replace. We have to make sure we put it in the right place. Before the last B trim, so here would be another one. Regex replace, and we want to get rid of what do we want to get rid of? Quotes with nothing. Like this. Would that work? Ah, it can only replace one instance. The regex boys are gonna come out. How do we summon the regex boys? I want to trim both ends. 1 second here. Trim. Yeah, trim both character from string would be better. I think I'm being a regex boy. Trim both from then I don't need this jibber jabber. I've written quite a few regexes in my day, but this one really takes the beef. Oh yes, person. Regex person. Because boy is too specific. Gender specific. So it's only taking out one of them. It seems. Maybe we'll just do it at the end. You think it's mainly boys are into regex? Could be. Could be. Trim both quote from keyword split. And I wanna, what do I wanna add here? Oh no, what's happening? What's happening? There we go. I wasn't reading chat and I heard Salma voice saying person. Boy is a lifestyle, not a gender. Ah, okay. I could get, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I could see that. Yeah. Nice. I'm gonna call this column beans, because the first tag is beans. Wait, what? Why is this not allowed? This is nuts. What's happening? Oh, I deleted the from. I don't know how that happened. Stefan Judas. Hey friends, what's up? We're watching some strangely relaxing sequel. Is this relaxing? Yeah, I have the same question. I think I visited your blog, Stefan. I believe. I believe. Do you believe? I believe. We're just gonna take everything in here. I can't be bothered to format anything right now. Oh no, that's lazy, isn't it? No, let's not do that. Recipe ID as recipe ID. What else do we want in here? We want the name. Name. I want to believe. Everyone visits Stefan's blogs. It's not relaxing enough since I'm still awake. Honestly, my objective on stream is not to put people to sleep with my sequel. Name as recipe name. What do we need here? Cook time, prep time. We will figure out the cook time stuff afterwards. Actually, since you're all here now, we could do we could add some more conditions to the community recipe. So basically, I've asked everyone in chat who's here, because there are people in chat who are not here, lurkers. I've asked them to say what their favorite food is, so that we can maybe try and combine all of these conditions into one of the recipes we're looking for afterwards. Prep time and total time. Okay. I have no food culture. Yeah, but you must have a favorite food. It must be something you like to eat, my friend. It could be something as simple as a bagel. Or potatoes. Is there anyone who doesn't like potatoes? Seaweed. Okay. Interesting. That's a pretty left field one. Hey, dried seaweed crumbled over a dal with potatoes and barbecue sauce. Sounds pretty awesome to me. Sounds a bit fusion-y, but it's definitely cool. What else do we need in here? We have the recipe ID, the name, the cook time, the prep time, the total time. Right, then we need the recipe category as, let's call it category. Let's just call this ID. Honestly, this is only a recipe database, so we have nothing else in here. I hear Vegemite is pretty good. I think that's pretty much like a 50-50 thing, right? What's the other one? Marmite? From two entirely different countries, I believe. So we want basically everything. All right, look what we've got. Crazy Mexican dip. I really can't decide between Marmite and Vegemite. They're both sublime. Honestly, I've tried Vegemite once and I was horrified. No comment. Yeah. So this is what we have. Oh, the keyword split we don't need. So this is really annoying. Basically, I have to write them all out. But what's really cool about data grip in particular is if I write ID, you see the second row here has all of them. Yeah, but you don't drink coffee, so no comment. Yes, this is true. The second row here auto-completes all of these, which is the bomb. And what I can do is just auto-format them and then just remove the one I don't want. This one. Look at that. Ta-da! So now we have, for one recipe, so just to make an example, so it's very clear for everyone. For one recipe, we now have 7 rows, for example. This recipe, Crazy Mexican Dip, has 7 tags. Beans, toddler-friendly, kid-friendly, 60 minutes for large groups, stovetop, easy. And it's in the category lunch snacks. We should probably rename this, right? And this is really convenient now because we have all of these keywords separate, which means that we can use them as our filter criteria. So that's basically our cleaned recipes or cleaned keywords. So this is now the second alias, and which means you make a comma after the first one. So I'm just gonna collapse that because nobody wants to look at that beautiful nested query, nested beautified multifunction thing, whatever it is, atrocity. And now we just do from cleaned keywords. And basically you can see how this has been built sequentially. I have a cleaned keywords alias, which builds on the keyword formatting one. And now I have this one here, which builds on this one. You don't have to do it this way. You don't have to build them sequentially. I could do from keyword formatting here, and then later use the cleaned keywords for something else. And that's what I meant about parallelization. However, given to Meow, because you may ask about this, you can only use something that has been created further up. So I cannot create an alias here, such as, I don't know, let's call this meow meow. Okay. I cannot create an alias here and use it here. That doesn't work. Because it's basically synchronous. I mean, it's not the right term. It's sequential in the sense that it's from top to bottom. But you can most certainly put as many CTs together as you want. And you can just do like this. And it is the way that the CTE chain basically ends is at some point when you have all your aliases, at some point there will be a select at the end. And that's where the chain ends. So basically with until select is the end of the chain. Yes, nested query alternative. Totally legit. Just poor readability in a lot of cases. So try doing this one here with a nested query alternative. Did it just put... Oh no. It changed to leading commas instead of trailing commas. Ah. That is awful. Why would it do that? I didn't tell it to do that. I have to auto format this, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, so a quick word about leading and trailing commas. I'm fully aware that it is way cooler to use leading commas because, well, you know, you can just comment out single lines and not worry about having a comma there at the end. but I just don't like the way that it looks. And call me like whatever you want, but I just don't like it. I really don't like it. I don't like it. And therefore, I shall be removing all of these. I don't know why it's forcing this into... I don't know why it's forcing it into leading commas, though. That was a bit odd. The computer broke it. Yeah, most definitely. Most 100%. You understand the comma! Thank you, Stefan. You have validated my entire comma existence. I've debated this so many times with colleagues, and I cannot understand people that want to write with leading commas. It is so weird to read. So weird to read. And honestly, readability, it's so underrated. Like, you need to be able to read the code to understand it. Of course it executes better and you can do your fancy line commenting and stuff like that. But anyway, I have digressed from what we were doing. I just wanted to check if it was doing something weird with linter, but that seems not to be the case. So we're gonna hide this atrocious function. Oh, Toe, thank you. I'm so happy that the community feels like I do. I can use this as ammunition against my colleague. Thank you. One thing to note about CTEs, common table expressions, is that you don't have to end like I did here with like super clean ending. Consistency one way or another. Yeah, if you're going to start with leading, then always write leading, and if you're going to do trailing, then always write trailing. That was the main reason I got upset, because this second one here was being leading formatted, and this one was already trailing. So yeah, that's sorted out. I noticed that there's some weird capitalization stuff happening here, which is odd. In any case, you don't have to end like this. It doesn't have to end this way. Take a screenshot of chat for your next discussion. I will just export it and send him the VOD. Send him the VOD and be like, tune in from like around the 1 hour and 40 mark. And that's the discussion that why I win. You can also just end it here with like tons of left joins and all kinds of stuff. I use Pascal case ID for all of my SQL Server stuff, but fully appreciate the other ways, writing in snake case. Yes, I'm more of a snake case kind of guy with lowercase snake case. I mean, I've seen also Pascal case snake case, which is a bit weird. Camel case is also kind of cool. Yeah, I guess sticking to one is just most important. I agree with you. So, kebab case person. I love that that's actually a thing. Oh. You use Pascal because you were told to, Toe. Oh. That's interesting. Kebab case. If you only all knew. I've seen someone write stuff with too many pipes in it, just because they needed a separator. So that was horrible reading their code. So we are at a point where we have reached peak SQL. Check this out. We can now query every single one of our recipes and figure out in which category they fit, because we have all of the keywords split out. But most importantly, select star from Panthers. Yeah, pipe case, like pipe case separated values, like this. I didn't fully understand the need to do it this way. Like, there is a legitimate case for pipes, right? But there's just, like, commas and semicolons exist for a reason. I mean, honestly. Are you a plural or singular person? It's like Star from Panthers. I should just call everything Panther related stuff. I will definitely do that. But I would like to figure out how many keywords we actually have. So now that I've cleaned the keywords, I need to take out my recipe filter, because otherwise we're only going to get one result. Don't forget to remove your where conditions before you close up your pretty little thingies here. This is weird. Why is it? It's odd. This is like the weirdest stuff. Oh wow, have you just simulated a blizzard, White Panther? I don't have your commands here. I'll just clone PantherBot. Be all good. It is deciding to like put this here. Whatever, we're gonna live with it. So from the cleaned keywords, I now take keyword. And this is very important. When we do this count, we need to use a count distinct recipe ID. Because otherwise, it will triple and double count each recipe. But something to be considered here. I almost forgot my group by, which happens almost every stream, but it hasn't happened today yet, which is really cool. I'm very excited about that. So recipes will be double counted. I'm so impressed by people writing SQL, it never clicked for me. Oh. Thank you, Stefan. I'm self-taught largely for SQL. The stream is timed perfectly. I have to write a semi-complex query for someone today at work. I love helping other people write queries. It's like a huge thing. Like someone at work comes to me and says, I need to do this. And I'm like, yes, give it to me. Give me this super complicated stuff. You're your own DB admin. Stop the stream and work for me. Oh good, you wrote just kidding. Thank you, White Panther. I have been told in the past that I'm very patient, which I think is a good quality to have for someone who wants to teach people stuff. Thank you for all the love in chat. Very appreciative. Definitely makes me feel good. Starting my week out on that kind of high note is really nice. And so we have to bear in mind that all of these keywords can appear multiple times. So multiple times. A recipe can appear in multiple categories here. So the sum of these recipes is way more than the actual number of recipes in our database. But it's still best practice to count distinct here, just to make sure that we don't double or triple count recipes. Because it could be that the keyword appears multiple times in the keyword list. So that would be pretty nasty if we didn't use distinct. You definitely sound very patient and chilled. Thank you, Stefan. I try to be chill. I'm not always chill, but I try to be chill. So we have our answer about the top keywords. And does it surprise any of you that the top keywords are easy and meat? I didn't mean to say those together, by the way. I'm looking for a recipe that's easy meat. Could you tell me more? But basically we could use this as our filter conditions, and that in conjunction with all the other stuff allows us to search for things that we really want. So about these types. So distinct type, recipe type. What did we call it? Category. I didn't need that as an here. We have to remove this. We don't actually need the group by, but I'm just going to leave it in there anyway, because I'm too lazy to comment it out. These are all the 306 different categories. Now there is some overlap between categories and keywords. So we could actually, like get rid of categories that appear in the keywords, sort of. But it doesn't have a lot of value, in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do instead is do like this. So if I have a category and a keyword, then, oh right, now I need to get rid of the group by. So now we had a real problem, and it's the first time in the stream that I forgot my group by, but I forgot to remove it, not to put it in, so that's cool. Artichoke is a very specific category, yes. What I'm interested in seeing is, so for which category, what kind of keywords appear? And you can already see there's some weird stuff happening, because in the category less than 15 minutes, the keyword less than 4 hours appears, which makes sense, it is true, but it's not super useful. I mean, it's really not that useful. So I think... it doesn't seem... Oh, Stefan, thank you for the follow. Use less? Oh wow, the nerd talk is on point today. I'm super impressed. It doesn't look like there is a lot of double counting, but one way that we can just quickly see that is where category equals keyword. And I really hope there aren't any. Yes! Genius. So basically I've validated that the categories are not also used within the keywords or vice versa. I mean, vice versa is true, but not as a categorization technique. So if I say where category equals, or was it less than 30 minutes, you're still surprised when the follower widgets show up. I mean, this was like the first thing that I did or something, just to make sure that something would happen on screen besides me talking and showing my code. But I'm still also very much a noob, don't worry. Stefan, do you also stream on Twitch? I'm actually not sure. Ah, see? If you ever want to get back into streaming. Oh, so you used to stream. I didn't know that, actually. I haven't been on Twitch for that long, actually. I'm like a total fresh noob. Less than 15 minutes. Ah, it's mins. Mins. So basically here, if I have a category that's less than 30 minutes, these are all the things that appear here, the keywords. And then I could now search for how many recipes appear for each category, and then do more and more filtering. I'm hoping to give it a go at some point this year. Absolutely. Making the time is tricky. Oh yeah. Sleeping streams. That's the dream. Get paid to sleep. That is literally the dream. Why can't I subscribe? I have a Prime sub to spare. Because I have not hit affiliate yet, Zejul. But hopefully that is going to happen soon. And then I will integrate that subscription possibility. And then you'll be able to burn your Prime sub from Amazon Prime. Because I actually only a little bit into my Twitch journey found out that Twitch belonged to Amazon. I didn't even know that. And that explains all the Prime stuff. So this is where it gets fun, because this is where we can start to figure out, are there any recipes that contain these things? Dal, potatoes, barbecue, seaweed. I think we'd have to go for the ingredient parts. Yeah, see, we would actually have to dive into the ingredients. But we already have... Ooh, we already have the formula to do that. Formula, I mean, whatever it is that this is, this monstrosity. Guess what? We're gonna do it. I'm going full mental. So you learned what raids are. Yes, I was also very confused about raids. Ingredients split. Ingredients? What does this look like? Oh yeah, so here's a nifty trick for you people. So I have this query here. It's in one of my aliases. But of course, if I write some select thing here to try and figure out what is in here now, select star from keyword formatting, it doesn't like that because the comma's here. So I'd have to remove the comma every time and then remember to put it back, which is a huge PETA. Ha! I did another pun. Someone keeping count of the food puns? I think Dino left, so he was keeping count. Or did he come back? But anyway, what you can do in order to avoid writing the select statements in between is just write them down here above the stuff that you've already written. Puns plus plus. I should make a puns command thing or something with Streamlabs. So basically what you do is you do your select query here, like keyword formatting, and then you just add your semicolon to terminate the SQL statement. And then it only evaluates that anyway. And the stuff below it just forgets about it, which is the fastest way to test one of the other aliases up there. And this is what I wanted to see is, oh yes, it worked. We have all the ingredients. So I'm just gonna tell you people now, I'm going to totally take recipes from this thing, split these out, find a way to format them into Markdown, and put them onto my recipe site so I don't have to write them out. But I will show that some other stream, because we are a little bit running out of time actually today. Just past the 2-hour mark. So I typically go for about 2.5 hours. We'll see if we can get to the magic doll potato barbecue seaweed thing, because I'm really curious about this. Please don't anyone add any more things to this. I think it's already going to be very complicated. But essentially, we did cleaned keywords. We actually have to... we should technically rename these. So we're going to call them value formatting, because now I've done it with multiple values. So keyword split, ingredients split, and then we'll do cleaned values. And I like to use good alias names because it really reinforces what you're doing in that particular common table expression, which I think is very important for readability. Even more so perhaps than comma choice. And so we'll do that as keyword and that as ingredients. Keywords. Ingredients. What? Oh, it doesn't like this. Yeah, sorry. Value formatting. I can't spell, so there's auto-completion for that. And I'm guessing there isn't an ingredient split with NA. Ah, null. Okay, that could happen. Yeah, that's fine. It just means there's no more ingredients to be listed. It means that here there's two... Yeah, so this is a good example here. So basically we see Buddha's herb mix for mushrooms. Okay, that seems interesting. It's a beginner cook, easy recipe, under 15 minutes, and it involves celery seed, tarragon, rosemary, basil, oregano, parsley flakes, salt, black pepper, and dried chives. That actually sounds pretty nice. I thought it was some other kind of mushroom. Anywho, so we have clean values. Perfect. So now what we do is we do from cleaned values instead. So category, keywords, ingredients. This is basically for a 30-minute recipe. Oh, I should include the ID actually. So for one 30-minute recipe, it would look like this. Let's do an order by 1. Oh, okay, it just has one. What? There's a recipe with literally just cream cheese. What is this recipe? Oh, this is gonna be hilarious. Oh, interesting. Parmesan rosemary pinwheels. Oh, but there's more than... Oh, okay. Recipe ingredient parts. Why didn't that work properly? Oh, because we restricted the category. Here we go. They do sound lovely, don't they, Panther? Where ID equals... So what we've done now is we've split 522,000 recipes into their respective rows. So we actually, in this final query, 2.5 million rows. And that took 8 seconds. So that's pretty cool. And this table is apparently called seaweed. All right, friends, gotta go. Have a great night. You take care as well, Stefan. Thanks for joining. Hope to catch you next time on beautiful, relaxing SQL. Cooking up some... I know about 5 to 6 things to cook. Well, this is interesting because we've now achieved what we wanted to achieve. And so for the last few minutes of the stream, we can definitely... Wow, the ID search thing is weird. There we go. So this one only has one value, which is odd. We should definitely debug that because it's not big data. Yeah, 2.5 million rows, I guess. But I think we came up with the definition last time. Big data is when you can't work with it locally anymore. So I want to keep this particular ID. So what I do if I want to debug something like this, why there's only one row here, I want to do select star from, I'm going to start up here, value formatting, where recipe, oh no, it's just ID. There we go. So, what comes out? There may be some issue with this monstrosity. Oh no, that looks good. That looks very good. Okay. So let's do cleaned values then. Ah, so something has happened. What did we do here? Trim. Really? Ah, I see. So we have this where condition, and that is causing problems. Let me show you why. If I remove the where condition, you see this keyword, it only appears once because the keyword has been broken out from, the keyword has a one-to-one relationship kind of with the ID, as there's only one keyword, but there's 3 ingredients. This is like multi-dimensional relationships, end-to-end relationships, and that you have to be super careful about, as evidenced by my mistake here. Basically, I can't have this condition here because it's messing with that. So now that we've found that out, everything should be Hunky-dory. Yeah, exactly. So I have now a recipe with its category, with keywords that are attributed to it, and its ingredients. Obviously, I can't do this in the same query because I need to do them separately because of this end-to-end relationship. But we could totally find a recipe that has the community recipe in it. Or we could try to find a recipe that would fit the community. And then I think we will call it an evening. How does that sound, chat? I'm also out of water, so we've got about 20 minutes before my voice gives up. So the community recipe is dal, potatoes, barbecue, and seaweed. Let's see what we can find with this. I'm just going to collapse these so we have more space. So these are the things we're looking for. So we're going to do select distinct ID, and we'll leave the category for later, and we'll leave the keywords for later. Ingredients. We can just do an ID for now. So we'll do community recipe selection. And I'm doing this as an alias, and you're going to see why in just a moment. So we have, give me the IDs from clean values where ingredients in, very simple. Is dal an ingredient? Probably not. How would we find out? Pulses. Well, let's try like with multiple spellings first. Let's see if there's any results. No. So let's try the official Salma spelling from White Panther. Pulses. I'm not sure how it would be spelled. That's the main difficulty. Dal. Could be written maybe lentil? Panther, would that be correct to write lentil? What do you think? Could be a good workaround, because I think some things... Ah, there we go. Yeah, so we've got with lentils, we've hit the jackpot. There's 996 recipes with lentils. All right. So lentils. So I guess the real question is, can we find a recipe that has all four of these things? Maybe. For that, we need to write the query slightly differently. So we'd have to do equals lentils and ingredients equals, because if we do in, it will only check one of the conditions. So I don't know how they write potatoes. We should probably include the ingredients. Okay, nope, that's not gonna happen. Let's see what this looks like. We're almost there. So that's fine. Potato. Is it pluralized? That's the question. So one trick I also do if I have multiple where conditions and I want to like interchangeably comment them out, I just put where 1 equals 1. It's one of these common tricks. If you do deploy code to production, I would recommend taking it out before it goes to production. But generally speaking, it's a valid tactic. Oh. Oops. That's wrong. Doesn't equal potato. Well, there you go. Maybe we need like the list of ingredients as a master and we can just search through it. Oh, potato. There we go. So, lentils and potato. Does it exist? No. Ooh. That's unfortunate. But not unexpected. So I think we'll have to control ourselves with or conditions, because we're not going to find one recipe that has all of those things. I'm sorry, community. I'm sorry, chat. But I think it's still an achievement that people came up with things that they like to eat, because typically that's a pretty difficult question for people. I know, boo. But maybe we should just make a recipe that has dal, potatoes, barbecue, and seaweed. I could try it, maybe come up with something and then share it with y'all. Barbecue. I don't know, I'll just put seaweed. I don't know if seaweed will have any result. It could be worth actually just doing... It's actually worth just doing a from cleaned values, just doing an ingredients list, so we can just order by one, just so we can get a list of all the ingredients. Then we can kind of look through and see how it's named. Because barbecue might be in there, but we don't know how it's spelled. It could be spelled out, it could be lowercase. Ooh, wow, yeah. There's a lot of random stuff here, yeah. See, like, amaretti cookie, amaretti cookie crumbs, amaretti cookies. And I would be able to spend a bit more time on this with the ingredients and do stuff like Levenshtein distance and stuff to see similarity of terms, because then we could auto group these together. Based on spelling. American cheese. So let's look for the barbecue one. Barbecued chicken. Barbecued pork Chinese. Barbecue sauce. There we go. So we're gonna do oh, and yeah, let's check seaweed while we're here. Okay, we'll just do this one first. What was it? Barbecue sauce. And I'll include the concentrate one. I don't know how many recipes there are with it, but you know. And okay, so let's check where ingredients like, I don't know, seaweed. So I'm just running this select distinct, and it's actually running it on the cleaned values, you see? I'm skipping over this community recipe selection, which is why it's grayed out. Oh, there's no seaweed stuff. Okay, let's just do everything that starts with S. Just so we don't have to scroll through the entire list of values. Saffron, all right. Oh, there's some, ooh, some values in here that didn't process properly. Oh dear, that's not good. Definitely have to figure that out, why that is. Seaweed does not seem to be here. Interesting. Is meow still around? How else would you write seaweed? Because the dried version could be called nori. You know, the Japanese dried seaweed snack, which is delicious actually. Oh man, the stream is making me hungry, which is not a good thing. Should be going to bed after this, not going to eat stuff. Oh, nori, look at that. Wow, that was a lucky guess. All right, nori it is. So we have all the recipes. We have the recipes that contain any of these things, which is weird, but you know, that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted. That's what the people want. We should do just a count distinct ID, and then we know how many recipes there are in this actual set. Sauce, concentrate, focus. All right, so we have 8,200 recipes that contain any of these things, which is pretty cool. It's a given with potato in there, right? Now we can begin the process of trimming to find one that would work for us. And what I'm doing here is actually this recipe selection. I'm just creating the ID. This becomes like our master. So the recipe selection is like that. And then I do an inner join. And this is where common table expressions are pretty cool. And I did say we wouldn't do any joins today, but I lied. Basically, this is my master data set of the IDs that I want. And I inner joined to the cleaned values. Community recipe selection is going to be called CRS. Oh, we don't want to count anymore. CRS.id. And then the cleaned values are going to be cleaned values, CLV. And when we do like this, CLV.id equals CRS.id. And now what we've done is we've taken this recipe subset, that this 8,200 recipe count, and joined it back with the data selection that we did earlier. And that enables us to have all the values. So you can see here, we have Brit's favorite pot pie, which has potato in it. Literally chicken, potato, and milk. That's an easy one. But yeah, now we can do fun stuff. So let's see. You have conquered this table. Yes, I have made it my bad word not to say on Switch. So what would I like to do? I would like to figure out if we can split the recipes out by category. So CLV.category count distinct. Oh, come on, you. Count distinct CLV.id. And this is our recipe count. I should use as for the alias. Someone might yell at me. No, we forgot the group by. Oh, it happened. Should have had a timer going for how long it would take before I forget it. Ah, that is aggravating. I was hoping I wouldn't forget it today. But yes, look at that. Lunch snacks, 1 dish meal, pork, meat, potato. Potato is its own category. Legit. Lentil as well. Vegetable. This is hard. It's really hard. The category is really... You can't just pick one. I mean, it's really... Maybe we could just pick a time and say under 30 minutes. Let's do under 15 minutes. That will restrict us a lot easier. Where category equals... So we're aiming for a quick recipe. There's like 100 something in this group. So that's fine. What's the next thing we can do is the cook time. So select distinct clv.cooktime. Oh. Count distinct. Keep forgetting these and it's not good. It means that I'm getting tired, you see. So now we have our 15-minute meals. Come on. There we go. So NA, that's not good. We'll take those out. Cook time is not NA. Because we want the cook time to be accurate. CLV.total time as well. Let's check the total time. Because if we don't know how long it's going to take us, then why even bother? That's my logic. So, come on, you can do it, Mr. Laptop. There we go. We have 10, 15, 4, 6, 7, and 9. Honestly, I'm very curious about a 4-minute recipe. But I think it's realistic to take the 15-minute ones because there's 11. So we'll do and total time equals PT 15M. I'm not sure what the PT is for. So now let's see what we have here. Ooh, come on. Don't need these things anymore. I have to say the music today is really nice. I agree with you, Panther. Very relaxing. So what do we get out of this? We get our 11 recipes. Obviously this query is pretty complex, so it's running a lot in the background. 30 seconds. Jeez Louise. I think I might do this instead. Taking a bit long for my feeling. I canceled that query so that it would just put out the 11 recipes that we want to see. But I mean, what it's doing right in the background is first it's formatting all those values from the entire data set, right? And then it's cleaning them, and then it's selecting the recipes, and then it's doing an inner join here, which takes a lot of time, or I mean resources. So it is, yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one. And this will be, yeah, this will be the end of the stream. I don't know why it's named this table seaweed. It's been interesting. Don't have seaweed in the comments here. Oh, it's the last thing in this list. I think that's why. That's funny. What if I do like this? So the query's been running for 1 minute. Once this query ends, we will have a list of 11 recipes, and I will pick one of those as the community winning recipe today. But we will wait for this query to finish. I think we have to give it that. I mean, we owe it to this recipe database. And I'll probably be spending some more time exploring this recipe database, because now that I know how to split out all the ingredients, I'm definitely going to auto format it in some way so that I can use the recipes, my little hobby recipe site. Thank you, Panther. I've also enjoyed today's stream. I had a good time. How about everyone else? Did you have a good time today? Did you enjoy this stream? If you did, recommend it to your friends who are involved in data. Recommend it to people who want to learn SQL. Recommend it to people who are interested in topics like data engineering or machine learning. Who knows? Persican, see you next time as well. I'm just waiting for this query to finish. I don't know how long it will take, to be honest, but it shouldn't take too much longer. I'm a little bit surprised at how long it is taking. Metrics are stable. Nothing has crashed. You can actually have a look. If you look at Postgres, you can actually see all the queries being executed in the background. And I believe there is, yeah, there's a stats thing here. Oh, so this thing at the moment is occupying 2 cores of my available 16 cores. It's definitely doing something. So we'll let it execute in the background. It's actually pretty interesting to see the usage. I have never looked at this during query execution. So pretty impressive. All the past VODs end up on YouTube eventually. The link is in my Twitch about panel. And so I will leave this to run, but I will get off mic and I will just leave this here, and eventually the results will appear. And so thank you all for joining. Really appreciate the love from the community, especially from the Claw community. Really appreciate all of you supporting me and growing my stream and trying to help as many people out as possible. I wish all of you a great evening or afternoon or morning, depending what time zone you're in, and hope to see you next time. Take care and bye-bye.